My name is Marco Torres, the host of this HAPS. The network is now broadcast. Today we have Eric Rosenwald continuing the special broadcast for HAPS, who's going down to an internal checkpoint, border crossing checkpoint within the U.S. in Arizona. We're actually going to be doing a drive-by first-person view so you can see what it's like to go through this border checkpoint. And we're doing that now. So thank you for everyone who's joining in, and sit tight because this is what you're about to see. Eric, what are you expecting in the next few minutes that you're going to be driving?
So this is one of the internal checkpoints. This is not near the border right away. There are these internal checkpoints that filter traffic coming up into the U.S. 50, 60 miles north of the actual border. Now, because I'm heading towards the border, there isn't much interest in my vehicle. They don't even talk to you, or usually they don't even talk to you. They're focused on the traffic coming north, and so you still have to go through this checkpoint. You have to go slow, but they probably won't be talking to me and just wave me through. So one of the things you're going to see, one of the first things you know that you're coming up to a checkpoint is you start to see speed reduced, or you see a sign that says Border Patrol checkpoint, and then they try to slow you down, 45 miles an hour, 35, 25. So you'll be able to see those signs as we approach the checkpoint, and you'll also be able to see what looks like a network of cameras and all kinds of electronics devices on the side of the road that are pointed to the road to keep track of certain vehicles, because they look at your license plate. They can see all sorts of data from that, who knows what else. I mean, there might be classified instruments on these things that are able to look at cars. I'm not familiar with the exact technology that they're using there, but it's clearly a lot being brought to it. It'll be right on the side of the road, and what I'll do is, as I pass through, I'll stop talking. In a moment here, I'll flip the camera around so you can see, through the windshield. But as I go through the actual checkpoint, I'll stop talking. I'll mute the sound. Marco can talk. That's fine. Yeah, you'll see those electronics, and then we'll pass right through. So I'm ready to go.
Great. I guess the last question while you're getting set up right here is, how effective are these internal checkpoints? I know there's the border wall, entrance to and from Mexico and the U.S., but what about the internal checkpoints? How effective are they?
First of all, it's very difficult to know exactly how effective they are, because if someone successfully moves drugs or people through the checkpoint, we won't necessarily know.
Right.
But it is not uncommon for there to be a big discovery. There's so many vehicles that travel through here. There would be a line of cars that would go miles if you were thoroughly checking every vehicle. Mm-hmm. So it's just inevitable that a good bit of drugs are going to be coming through these checkpoints, and occasionally human smuggling too. Because there just isn't time or the resources to thoroughly check these vehicles. So they know this. They know that there's only so much they can catch. But when they do, it is effective. And you can see press releases every couple months, or sometimes every couple weeks, of the Border Patrol releasing photos of something that they caught, a large, capture of drugs that someone was smuggling. That's much of it actually gets through these things too. So, but the big thing is that if you really gave a thorough search to every vehicle going through these, the traffic would be backed up literally for miles. And that's part of why it's not really possible. They're capable of doing it. They have the skills, the equipment, personnel. But it's more an issue of commerce and society, people, getting to and from their home or something like that. It's important to remember that these checkpoints aren't just for, people traveling to and from Mexico. These internal checkpoints, locals have to travel through them. So So the agents are usually pretty diplomatic with that. They know that they're often interacting with local people that really have nothing to do with the border. But then again, sometimes you have local people that are part of the drug trade or the smuggling trade. So it's something where they're always very aware. But it might surprise some people when they see this kind of checkpoint and see how relaxed it is. It is one of the internal ones. So I won't be going through the actual border patrol through the border port of entry today. I'll be away from that, but I will travel through more checkpoints on my way in addition to this one here.
Great. Well, I think we're ready to start the road trip, as a few of the
All right,
viewers have already said
sounds
it.
good. Sounds good. And one thing I want to add is that um, a few miles after I get through the checkpoint, I may lose reception. It can be spotty out here. Right now, I actually have a 5G connection from Tucson, which is a bit surprising because I'm, good ways out of the city. But there's a good chance I will drop out if I lose that reception, and at that point, Marco can take over and just sort of wrap things up. But if you see me disappear out of nowhere, it's just a reception. So I'm ready to go. I'm gonna flip the camera around so you can see through the front windshield here as we travel through this checkpoint. Now there are similar internal checkpoints like this that are along the interstates, along Interstate 10, Interstate 8, these freeways that run roughly parallel to the border. So this is a very common thing out here, and there is some controversy about them. There are legal scholars who argue that a checkpoint like this so far north into the country is not constitutionally legal. So this is the subject of a lot of these things. Anyone watching can do a few Google searches or any other research on these internal checkpoints, because it is a common issue. We just passed a border patrol vehicle back there a second ago, so that's something that you see on these roads constantly, all the time, different kinds of vehicles.
What are they looking for, Eric?
They are often, I think we got another one here in front of us. Yep, that's actually a big spotlight if you saw on the top there. Most of these vehicles we're seeing right now are traveling to and from patrol areas along the border. So right here, they're not so much looking for anything. They're traveling to the main base facility for the Border Patrol in this part of southern Arizona, which is in Tucson. This is the highway that gets out there. So this is a main thoroughfare for Border Patrol vehicles. So many of them that we see that are coming our way, I'm headed west right now. They're headed east back into Tucson. They are often just finishing up their shift. I've gone on actually ride-alongs with the Border Patrol for stories where I was on assignment. I was a videographer for attached to a correspondent a couple times with Voice of America doing that. And it's really fascinating to go on these ride-alongs, but I'm used to kind of taking this route, and they talk about their job. They have a good a couple hours to drive often to get to the areas where they're actually patrolling. So it's not like you just, leave the Border Patrol station and you're there. There's a lot of travel. Now you can see a sign here on the side of the road. It says U.S. Border Patrol. I don't know. I might zoom in just a touch here. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's see here. Okay, straighten that out. That's a little better.
It looks really good, yeah.
One of the signs there, and now we're getting to one that says 55 miles an hour. So you have this warning. Now, one thing I think that they're aware of too are vehicles who try to turn around right before they get to the checkpoint. So that's something they keep in mind. So now we're getting down to 45 miles an hour. You could see the checkpoint in front of us. It's this is one of the checkpoints where it's like a ramada to provide shade for the officers and people coming through. We can also, one of the things to look for is if there are any vehicles that are being inspected. These vehicles would be coming towards us, heading east into Tucson. I don't see any right now, any vehicles being inspected. So it looks like it's pretty quiet right now. So I'm gonna stop talking here for a second while we go through. And yeah. No, most likely won't be. No one will talk to me just because we are heading towards the border, and they don't really have any interest in vehicles going towards the border. It's coming back. So here we are, and it says.
So Eric right now is just going through the internal checkpoint in Arizona, heading towards the U.S.-Mexico border. He's exiting it now, and there's multiple along the way that he'll be reaching. Eric just now exited the internal checkpoint. He had to slow down so that the patrol unit people could, the guards could take a look and quickly examine to see if anything was suspicious or out of place. As Eric mentioned earlier today, the patrol units aren't able to actually just stop, cars, as this is a used highway, and there would be miles and miles of cars just placed to do really thorough checks. They just wouldn't be possible. It's unrealistic. So what you just saw is realistically what happens. That's about the speed you go. That's about what happens on a busier day with more traffic. We could assume there would be a little bit longer of a line, but still, that's about how fast, and that's about exactly what it normally looks like for an internal checkpoint. Again, this is within the U.S. in Arizona, not at the actual border crossing. One thing I want to know is just for all the people who are coming in and watching this show
To
now.
go through.
Oh, yes, Eric, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're fine.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just going to say for the viewers who are joining us right now, what you're doing, you're going through the internal checkpoints in Arizona, kind of giving this firsthand look, or road trip as we call it, of what it's like to go through these checkpoints and what are the issues that are going on in Arizona with the border wall, the checkpoints, with immigration, with smuggling, all of this. And right now we're on our road trip HAPS broadcast. And Eric, going back to you, what were you going to say?
Well, first of all, I want to point out, if anyone's following that wants to look at a map, we just crossed, this is Highway 86, State Highway, heading between Tucson and Ajo to the about 100 miles to the west of Tucson. But right now, we just entered Tohono O'odham, Native American tribal land. Much of this area where border wall construction is inside or happening right alongside this particular tribe. So I just wanted to point that out. But to talk about the checkpoint, like I said before, there just isn't enough resources to stop everyone and look at every vehicle thoroughly. So usually what they'll do is they may ask if you're a U.S. citizen, and if you say no, that instantly gives them the Border Patrol or customs agents instantly gives them more authority to stop you and to talk to you. So that's potentially one question they'll ask. The next question will often be, where are you headed? Where are you coming from? Where are you headed to? And that could potentially be some sort of red flag. Of course, people can lie, but they do track vehicles and stuff like that. They have cameras there, so they have some ability to see where you've been through the area. And other than that, they'll often just kind of give you a look in the eye, a solid look to kind of see if you're acting suspicious or nervous. And then usually it'll be a look. They'll ask you potentially to roll down your windows and look in the back seat. That's a real common thing. Potentially they'll ask you to open your trunk. These are not thorough searches, but they could at least spot anything big or any signs that someone has been hiding drugs or people in the vehicle. but it's usually just a very, very brief cursory check that really lasts only a couple of seconds. Now, let's see here. Now, one thing that I have had happen in El Paso, about 50 miles to the east of El Paso, is I was going through a similar internal checkpoint, but a very large one that handles a lot of smuggling operations in that area. So it's a big facility. I was told that a dog, some of these ones, actually, I should mention, they're often drug sniffing and human sniffing dogs that will sniff out the vehicle. An officer, a canine officer, will walk around your vehicle and they'll sniff or something like that. I was going through one, and they said that the dog alerted to something in my vehicle. I don't. I didn't have anything in my vehicle, and I was in a rental car going to cover a story in southern Texas. So I don't have any exact knowledge of this, but it's very easy to say, the drug alert or the dog alerted you. But maybe it was something that the officer, had a bad feeling, or there might be quotas. I mean, it's that kind of information is really internal. But at the end of the day, he said, pulled out, I got out, and I was brought into a building, and I was able to see them on my searching my car for my belongings. They opened it all up. I was in this facility. I wasn't being detained, you know, I wasn't disagreeing with anything they're saying, and I consented to all of it. So they were able to get right to it. So I wasn't being held. I wasn't being detained. I was just sitting in this facility. And it was really fascinating because I could see drugs on tables in front of me. I saw what I believed was a few bricks of marijuana, but then there was something else too. So I didn't want to ask them what it was, but it was right in front of me on a table while I'm just sitting in this facility. It was just buzzing with activity, many agents in there. That was the biggest, the largest internal checkpoint I've ever gone through. And our viewers can find that one. I'm not sure the name of it, but it is about 50 miles to the east of El Paso. And I believe it was still on Interstate 10, which is one of the main roads that runs east and west fairly close to the border. So yeah, someone here says I trained explosives and narcotics dogs in the military. So if you have any thoughts there, 9K there, from looks like you're from Reddit or YouTube. If you have any thoughts on that, we always love to see commentary here. This is a real interactive thing.
While we're waiting on that, I wanted to just thank everyone who's tuning into this broadcast right now. Eric is again going in Arizona, driving all across the southern part near the border for the Mexico and U.S. Border. I also want to throw out that Eric does have a goal of $20 to make in tips. Again, this all goes straight to Eric for what he's doing. This is not a story. He's not on assignment. This is only for the HAPS broadcast. So any little bit that you can tip does go directly to him and helps him with his work today. As well, you can tip through the stickers that we have through HAPS, as well as liking, sharing the video. Also, it doesn't donate, but it also helps to get Eric's content out to as many people as we can, because I think we can all agree that Eric doing this is some great content, especially with what we have lined up throughout the rest of the day. Eric, Lucia says she got lost on the map. Where are we right now?
So right now, Arizona, I believe it's Highway 86, but the best way to orient yourself, if any watching on the map, is I'm just north of Kitt Peak National Observatory. There's a large
Looks like There he is.
Say astronomical phone here. That I'm looking to the south. So if you find people observatory, you'll be able to that observatory. The highway here runs right next to it. Oh, just saw a roadrunner run out of the
Eric,
out
can
of
you
the
repeat?
street here.
Can you
So
repeat
got
a
very
little bit of
Arizona experience here.
Eric, can you repeat a little bit of what you just said about where you're located? You kind of lagged out just for a little bit for us.
Okay.
Okay, so Eric right now just lost his connection. As we said that he was going past the internal checkpoint in Arizona near, again, the Mexico-US border, and that there would be pockets of just complete dead space. But actually, we have him connecting back right now. Let's see if we can get him back on. He's driving through. He just said that, he just crossed a roadrunner. But it looks like he's trying to connect again. Eric, can you hear us? Oh no, he's not able to. No, it looks like he disconnected again. Let's just give it a minute and see if he can reconnect. Asking the viewers out there, what do you guys think, or what do you expect to see with Eric's broadcast, or what did you think about when Eric went through the internal checkpoint? I'd love to know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Was it too simple? Was it too fast? Really, I think he slowed down to about like 5 miles per hour when he went through. It didn't seem like there was a lot of traffic, but it seemed like he went slow enough where he could get through it pretty quickly. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. I'd love to know your guys' opinions, and of course, like, share, and comment on all the different social media platforms, as well as here on Haps. And yeah, let's see if we can get Eric back on. If not, just let me know. Let's see what do you guys think? Oh, I just got word actually that Eric is not going to be, he's in a complete dead zone right now. So regarding that, what we're going to do is we're going to take a break until Eric actually gets into a location where he can start joining us in the broadcast again. So until then, this next section, I believe we'll be getting drone footage of different parts of Arizona, again, near the US-Mexico